The mission began with the biggest dream humanity ever had, to go closer to the sun than any human had ever gone before. For years, scientists, engineers, and astronauts worked day and night to build a ship strong enough to survive the sun's heat. They named it Helios 1, a ship designed like a shield, covered in special layers that could handle fire almost as hot as the sun itself. When the crew first stepped inside Helios 1, they felt something powerful in their hearts. They were not just astronauts. They were explorers who were going to touch the secrets of a star. The commander looked at his team and said, "Remember, we are not just studying the sun. We are learning how life in this universe truly works." The journey began quietly. Helios 1 left Earth's orbit and slowly moved deeper into space, passing the Moon, then Mars, and then entering the empty dark region between planets. The sun looked small at first, like a bright circle far away, but every day it grew larger and more powerful. Its golden light filled every window inside the ship. At first, everything went perfectly. The crew collected data about solar winds, magnetic fields, and the movement of plasma. They watched giant loops of fire dance across the sun's surface from a safe distance. It was beautiful and frightening at the same time. But soon, something strange started happening. One night, while the crew was checking the ship's sensors, a soft vibration passed through the metal walls. It wasn't from the engine. It wasn't from space debris. It felt like the ship was hearing a sound that no human ear could detect. The commander placed his hand on the wall and felt it again, a slow, deep pulse. Thump, thump, thump. The scientist in charge of sensors checked the readings. His eyes widened in shock. "This signal, it's coming from the sun," he said quietly. "It feels like a heartbeat." The crew laughed nervously at first. The sun having a heartbeat sounded impossible. But the reading on the screen repeated the pattern again and again. The pulse was gentle, steady, and alive. As the team watched the screen, the light from the sun shifted slightly, like a wave moving across its surface. For a moment, it looked almost as if something under the surface was pushing upward, just a little. The room grew silent. The commander whispered, "The sun shouldn't do that." It was only the beginning. Helios 1 had entered a place where normal science no longer applied. After the strange heartbeat reading, the crew of Helios 1 tried to continue their work. They told themselves it must be a sensor glitch. They laughed a little, pretended it was nothing serious, and returned to their tasks. But deep inside, every person on the ship felt something wasn't right. The sun was too quiet, too calm, too alive. The next morning, the sensors picked up something even stranger. A soft vibration moved through the ship, not in a rhythm this time, but like a whisper. The walls felt warm, even though the temperature controls were working perfectly. When the commander touched the panel, it almost felt like the ship was reacting to something outside. The scientist on duty checked the monitor. "We're receiving another signal," she said. "But this time, it's not one heartbeat. It's many." The crew leaned closer to the screen as a new pattern appeared, a cluster of vibrations, appearing and disappearing in different places near the sun's surface, almost like tapping from under layers of fire. One astronaut whispered, "It's like something is trying to speak." Before anyone could respond, the sunlight outside the window shifted suddenly. A bright wave of light passed across the sun, brighter than any flare they had seen before. The heat shields groaned softly. The ship trembled, but not from danger, more like it was being nudged by something gentle and massive. The sensors beeped again. A new image appeared on the camera. A dark shape had risen from the sun's surface for just a moment. It wasn't a sunspot. It wasn't a flare. It looked like a long shadow, stretching upward before sinking back into the bright plasma. The crew replayed the footage again and again, trying to understand it. When they zoomed in, the shape looked like a curved line, all wing. The commander frowned. "A shadow cannot rise from a star," he said, "unless something made it." The ship's AI suddenly gave a warning. "Unidentified magnetic signature detected." The crew rushed to the window. At first, they saw nothing. Then the sun's surface rippled, like water disturbed by a stone. A second shadow appeared. This one was larger and stayed visible longer. It stretched and twisted, like something swimming through the fire. The scientist whispered, "Stars don't behave like this." The commander nodded slowly. "Unless the sun is not just a star today. Alios 1 had seen the first warning, and the sun was about to reveal something humanity had never imagined. The shadow on the sun's surface stayed in everyone's mind long after the recording ended. The crew of Alios 1 tried to calm themselves, but every second felt heavier than the last. The sun, something they had always known as fire and light, now seemed like a place where something was moving, alive, hidden. The commander ordered a full scan using the ship's strongest lens. It was risky because the intense brightness could damage sensors, but they had no choice. The crew counted down, activated the system, and aimed directly at the sun. At first, the screen showed only bright fire, rolling waves of plasma, rising flames, and golden storms. Nothing unusual. Then the image glitched, not because of heat, not because of light, because something passed in front of the camera. A dark, curved-shaped move across the frame, slow, smooth, too controlled to be random. The crew gasped. When they froze the frame and zoomed in, the shape looked even stranger. It wasn't solid. Its edges were blurry, like it was made of shadow or smoke, yet it moved with purpose. It's inside the sun's magnetic field, the scientist whispered. Something huge. Before anyone could respond, the image flickered again. This time, another shadow appeared, longer, sharper, stretching like a giant wing. It's not one thing, the commander said quietly. It's many. The sun's surface rippled again, as if something enormous beneath the flames shifted its weight. Alios 1's sensors went wild. Magnetic readings spiked. The ship vibrated softly, like a warning. Suddenly, the ship's AI spoke in a low alarm tone. Unidentified structure detected, approaching rapidly. The crew looked out the front window. At first, they saw only golden fire. Then, emerging from the bright waves of plasma, something massive rose for just 2 seconds. A dark, wide shape, too symmetrical to be natural. It curved like an enormous fin or blade before dipping back into the sun. But before it vanished, it left something behind. A line, a thin streak of black energy floating toward the ship. The streak shot through space like a silent arrow. No heat, no sound, no physical matter, only darkness. It stopped just a few kilometers from Alios 1 and stayed there, a thin pillar of shadow stretching across the emptiness, as if marking a boundary. The scientist whispered, trembling, "It's pointing at us." The commander stepped back, heart pounding. The sun was signaling them, calling them, or warning them. Whatever lived inside the star was no longer hiding. The thin pillar of shadow floating in space did not move. It stayed still, pointing directly at Alios 1 like a silent finger. The crew stared at it through the window, afraid to speak. The sun was no longer just burning. It was behaving like it was thinking. The commander ordered the communication system to check for unknown signals. At first, everything looked normal. Static, radiation, solar noise. But then something changed. In the middle of the static, a pattern appeared. Not random, not noise, a sequence. The scientist's hand shook as she increased the volume. The pattern became clearer, slow pulses, rising and falling like a coded message. It wasn't just sound. It had rhythm, structure, purpose. It's communication, she whispered. Someone or something is trying to talk. The crew exchanged frightened looks. Communicate? With what? The sun was a star, not a brain. Or at least, that's what humans thought. Suddenly, the shadow pillar outside broke apart into tiny fragments, small black dots that moved like sparks. They floated toward Alios 1, spiraling slowly, gently, like they were dancing. The ship's alarms lit up. Unknown energy approaching. Caution. The fragments reached the front window and formed a circle. Then something unbelievable happened. Each fragment lit up from inside, glowing like golden dust. Together, they shaped themselves into symbols, curved lines, dots, spirals. They looked ancient, almost like writing from Earth's earliest civilizations. The crew stepped closer to the window. The glowing symbols started changing shape, slowly rearranging themselves, repeating, correcting, learning. Within seconds, the ancient symbols transformed into clear English letters. A message formed. "We remember you." The room fell silent. The commander whispered, How? How does it know our language? Before anyone could answer, the symbols dissolved and rearranged into a new message. We watched you grow. The scientist's voice cracked. It's talking about humanity. The sun is talking about humanity. The window brightened suddenly. A new wave of symbols appeared, moving faster now. The crew tried to keep up. The message was longer this time. We hold memory. We hold history. We hold warning. The last word flickered like a heartbeat. Warning. The sun surfaced and released a bright golden flare, not destructive, but gentle, like a handshake. The shadow pillar vanished. The glowing symbols faded. The room went dark and silent again. The commander looked at his team with fear in his eyes. The sun is trying to tell us something, he said softly. And whatever it is, we're not ready. After the sun's message faded, Helios 1 fell into a deep silence. No one moved. No one spoke. Every person on the ship was trying to understand what they had just witnessed. A star, a burning sphere of fire, had spoken to them. But the silence did not last long. The ship's warning light suddenly flashed red. A powerful tremor shook the entire vessel. The commander grabbed the railing as the scientist shouted, "Solar storm incoming. A massive one." On the screen, a huge wave of plasma was rising from the sun's surface, 10 times larger than any recorded event. It grew like a giant wall of fire, bright and violent, heading straight toward Helios 1. "Shields up," the commander ordered. The heat shields activated, glowing with a deep blue tint. But the scientist shook her head in fear. "This storm is too strong. Our shields can survive only a few seconds." The plasma wave hit. The ship rocked violently, thrown like a leaf in a hurricane. Sparks burst from the ceiling. Lights flickered. The crew held on desperately as alarms screamed. "Heat level critical," the system warned. "Magnetic field collapsing. Hull stability 72%, 61%, 53%. The storm pushed Helios 1 toward the sun, closer and closer. The golden surface outside the windows grew brighter, almost blinding. The crew could feel the ship groaning under pressure. The commander made a desperate decision. Activate the Sun Connect module. The scientist gasped. "We were never supposed to use that this close. It could tear the ship apart." "We don't have a choice," the commander said. "Activate it." The scientist pressed a command. A deep vibration rolled through the ship. Panels opened along the hull. Thin, silver rods extended outward, glowing with golden lines. The Sun Connect module was meant to read solar memory, but at this distance, it did something else. It opened a path. A circular tunnel of swirling light formed outside the ship. A tunnel made of pure magnetic force, glowing in yellow and white. It stretched from Helios 1 toward the sun's surface like a door. Inside the tunnel, the plasma storm slowed down, almost froze. "It's protecting us," one astronaut whispered in disbelief. But then, something even stranger happened. Inside the glowing tunnel, shapes appeared. Not shadows this time. Structures. Patterns. Something built of light and fire. The scientist stayed, speechless. This is inside the sun. The commander tightened his grip on the controls. "Prepare for entry," he said softly. Helios 1 drifted into the glowing tunnel, straight into the heart of the sun. Helios 1 drifted deeper into the glowing tunnel, surrounded by swirling waves of golden energy. No human ship had ever been this close to the sun. But instead of burning, the ship felt strangely calm, protected, almost welcomed. The crew watched in awe as the world around them changed. The tunnel widened until it opened into a massive chamber made of light. There were no walls, no ceiling, just endless streams of glowing patterns flowing like rivers across the sky. It did not look like fire. It looked like a brain made of light. The scientist whispered, "Is this the inside of a sun?" The commander nodded slowly, but before he could speak, the patterns around them shifted. Streams of light curled inward, forming a giant sphere. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat. Then the sphere cracked open, not violently, but softly, like a flower blooming. A presence filled the chamber. It had no face, no body, only light. But its presence felt ancient and warm, like standing near fire on a cold night. The commander felt something touching his thoughts, not invading, but gently observing. Then a voice spoke, not aloud, not through speakers, inside their minds. "Welcome, children of Earth." The crew gasped. The voice felt powerful but peaceful, like an ocean speaking. "We are the memory of stars." The sphere of light pulsed again. "We existed long before your world formed. We watched your sun ignite, and we watched you grow." The scientist trembled. You're alive?" The voice answered with warmth. "Not alive as you are, but aware, thinking, feeling. We guard the balance of this system. Your sun is more than fire. It is knowledge, history, warning." The patterns around the chamber changed, forming images, Earth being born from dust, oceans forming, humans learning fire, building cities, reaching space. The presence continued. A danger is coming from deep space. A star-eater, a void that consumes suns and leaves darkness behind. The crew felt a chill in their bones. Your sun cannot face it alone, but with your help, it can shine stronger. The commander stepped forward, voice shaking. "What do we need to do?" The sphere of light moved closer. "You must choose. Strengthen your star, or flee your system forever." The tunnel trembled. The chamber glowed brighter. The sun's ancient mind awaited their answer. The chamber of living light pulsed gently, waiting for the crew's answer. The ancient voice, the solar mind, had shown them the truth. Something in the deep universe was moving toward their Sunday, something powerful enough to drain a star like water from a cup. The commander looked at his crew. Their faces were pale but determined. They all understood what was at stake. Earth, the moon, Mars, every city, every child, every dream humans ever created. Everything depended on what they chose in this moment. "We didn't come here to run," the commander said quietly. "We came to learn, to protect, to understand." The scientist nodded. "If the sun needs strength, then we help." The solar mind glowed brighter, almost like it smiled. "Then you will touch the heart of the star." Light swirled around the ship, forming a path. Helios 1 drifted forward, pulled by a gentle force. Beneath them, they saw it, a bright core, so bright it felt alive. Streams of plasma flowed like rivers feeding a single, glowing heart. The solar mind spoke again. "Your ship carries something no star has ever known, human courage." Panels on Helios 1 opened. Every system activated, though no one touched a button. The ship connected to the light around it as if it had always belonged there. A beam of energy flowed from the sun into the ship, and from the ship back into the sun, like two beings breathing together. The commander felt heat filling his chest, not burning him, but warming him with ancient power. Then the sun's voice whispered, "Your sacrifice will be remembered." The crew understood. The ship began to shake. Alarms flashed, not warnings, but signals of transformation. Helios 1 was giving all its energy, all its power, to the sun. Sparks of light wrapped around the ship like wings. The tunnel outside cracked with golden lightning. "Commander," the scientist whispered, tears in her eyes, "we are becoming part of the star." He nodded softly. "Then let us shine." A giant pulse burst from the sun, racing across space like a wave of pure fire. It spread far, far beyond the planets, strong enough to warn distant systems, strong enough to slow the star-eater. But Helios 1 did not survive the final pulse. The ship dissolved into light, merging with the sun's core. Their last transmission reached Earth in a faint whisper. "We touched the sun, and it touched us back." On Earth, people looked up at the sky. The sun shone with a new brightness, a warm, golden glow that had never been seen before. Humanity had not lost a crew. Humanity had gained a guardian, and the universe had witnessed the courage of humans who dared to touch a star.